back to the More Life Project podcast. We are going to get right to it today with some hard-hitting topics.
Some hot takes.
Yeah, there's going to be some hot takes. This might ruffle some feathers.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll ruffle as many feathers as the Pilates episode did. People like the Pilates, but we are going to attempt to unpack a few things about wellness and when wellness and the pursuit of wellness can actually become a little bit toxic.
Yeah. Is your wellness routine actually a hellness routine?
Oh, such a good line. But really, let's talk about that because I do think that there is, especially for those of us in the fitness profession, we see a lot of potentially dangerous behaviors. Mm-hmm. And so we want to talk about that. I'm going to expose that a little bit today.
Yeah. Oftentimes we have people that start off on the right track and they're seeking healthy, like they're seeking a fitness routine, nutrition setup, something that's going to partner with them in longevity and all the good things that you're shooting for. But then you take it too far. And it's like a gradual process of becoming more and more extreme, borderline obsessive, borderline disordered. And that can really wear on us. And I know that you and I are not exempt from that. So,
I mean, sure.
Tell me about a time where maybe your wellness routine or a certain lifestyle that you were pursuing became toxic or like anxiety inducing.
Yeah. When I was in my 20s, I decided that I would pursue a career in fitness modeling, which was probably not the smartest.
Do you have these photos? Can we pull these photos and put them up on the screen? Because we need to see these.
Yes, I have a whole, what's so interesting is I had a whole professional shoot. Like I have a whole portfolio from this time of my life.
I need this.
But I had no knowledge of how to do this well or to do this correctly. Okay. And so if you look back at those photos, I do not look, I mean, I thought I looked amazing. And I was like, what I thought was that I was in the most, like the best fitness level I'd ever achieved. But it was completely disordered. It was not good. Mm-hmm. And everything that I did was self-sabotaging. I just worked out multiple times a day. I was counting calories in cough drops. Like it was seriously disordered. And achieving nothing. It was like a hamster wheel. Mm-hmm. Like I was getting thinner, and my muscles were popping, but I was not in a good way. And mentally and emotionally, I was a disaster.
Yeah,
I was a disaster.
And were you tying like your worth or your emotional state to your physical body and your physical appearance?
Yeah, weighing myself multiple times a day, and the control that I had over my calorie intake. I remember calling my husband and asking him, like, what do you think? There's somebody brought in these cookies and I had half of a cookie and now I'm spiraling. Like, I mean, it was like, it was obsessive.
This is why you were eating that pastry in your car the other day. She calls, we're on a call, and she's like, guys, I'm like one of those people that hides food in my car. I'm like, no, it's because it was you.
I wasn't eating the pastry in the car because I was hiding. I was joking about that. I was actually eating the pastry in the car because I had to get on that call.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to be one of those people eating in the car, and people are going to think that about me. Because that was just convenience, but it was delicious.
That's funny. Okay.
We went to a wonderful bakery and I got a delicious, what was it? It was a, what are they called?
I don't know. You said it was like a cream pie or something.
No, it was like an eclair.
Eclair.
It was an eclair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was an eclair. But it was delicious. Yeah. I wasn't hiding. And I thankfully, blessedly so, when I was rescued from that, mm-hmm. I was rescued hard and I never looked back. I've never struggled with it again. Like once I left that behind, and I'm in better shape. I think at 50, I look better than I did at 20, whatever that was. I think I was 23 or 24 when I was doing that. Mm-hmm. And I feel better. I look better. I mentally am better.
Yeah.
And all of the things that I left behind there, all of the mental challenges from that, I left behind. Like I was really rescued from that, I think.
That's good.
Yeah. What about you?
Okay, so I think back to that age as well. And I think that's really common for early 20s, especially girls. It's like we're coming into our bodies, becoming women, and our hormones are shifting and all of these things. And so you're trying to figure out, what does like fitness and wellness look like for you? And so this is like right when I entered the fitness industry around 21 years old. And it's the first time I was detached from working out for soccer. And I became to working out for an aesthetic. And I didn't know how to get the aesthetic that I was looking for other than basically running my body into the ground. And so I was taking classes like 6 days a week, and there was no rest. I didn't want to take a rest day. Some days or some weeks I probably was taking class like 7 days a week. And when I was in class too, it was everything was to the max. Every single effort, it was maxing out my speed or my weight, or I remember like doing burpees and just throwing myself to the ground. Like it was just silly.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What did you think was going to happen if you took a rest day? Or was it just,
it was just obsessive. It was, I love this. I'm having fun. I feel fine. And this is a whole other thing that we're going to probably unpack a little bit later. But like my nervous system is addicted to chaos. And I think a lot of that might be nature, might just be who I am, but also nurture. I grew up in an amazing family, but a very intense, go, 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 achieve, achieve, achieve. What more can you do? Family. And so I have always been on this, you said hamster wheel of what more can I do? What more can I do? I've never done anything moderately up to that point in my life. And that served me well in some areas. But when it came to the fitness and health part, I think that actually has caused that extremism that I had at the start has caused some of my health issues that I have now, which is also another thing that has created anxiety in me when I'm trying to seek healing. So, I have a bunch of allergies, intolerances, gut health issues, inflammatory responses. I don't even know necessarily what it is because it's so overwhelming to me trying to figure out like what is the root cause of this. But the more that I learn about just nervous system regulation, how that affects your digestive system, your gut health,
it's all tied
inflammatory
together.
response, I'm like, oh, it's probably because I'm in this chronic stress state.
Yeah.
That's I don't feel anxious. I think maybe because that's just my natural, but anxiety over if I eat this, is my body going to react? Or if I don't do this. So yeah, I think that it's a really fine line between pursuing more for health purposes versus kind of going off the deep end of this actually is a detriment.
Yeah. And I think it's not just in health and wellness. I think it's in the wellness space. It's mental as well. And we know that the rising generation, I think I have a statistic here somewhere. The rising generation says that like over half, this is an Abigail Schreier quote. She's the author of Bad Therapy. She says over half of the rising generation says their mental health is not good. And I was joking about this with my daughter who is in that generation. It's like, you guys are the rumination generation. So it's not even just overly focused on health and wellness. It's on your mental healthness, your mental health state.
Yeah.
I don't think that mental healthness.
Your mental healthness.
I think I've just coined a new term. But
yeah.
It's not in just that overly focusing on your anxiety, overly focused on, well, we talk about it a lot, our fight or flight response and our nervous system is being taxed all the time. And that awareness of that. And what do you do with that information and how do you manage that? It's in all of those areas.
Yeah. So that's like the mental health cost of healing culture, essentially what you're touching on.
Totally.
Yeah. It's getting to know who you are, doing the inner work, which is so important, being self-aware. But again, if you're only aware of that and you're only focusing on that, what is your lived reality? It's probably not as optimized as it could be. And you're probably in that stress state more often than you're not.
Yeah. It's the balance between awareness and rumination. There's a difference between taking stock of what you're experiencing and balancing that against, focusing on it and living in that space. And we were talking at the top of the show about that experience. Physically, I had another experience. Emotionally, I had a trauma in my childhood. My sister passed away when we were teenagers. And so I went to therapy and was managing that. And I think that for me, my natural bent is to acknowledge and move on. And sometimes that can be, okay, I'm just not going to deal with it. I'm not going to deal with the grief. But I also think it is my generation. That was the way that we were raised, was, okay, this is what I've experienced. The way that I viewed it is that the sooner, and I don't know that I was conscious of this as a teenager, but I think it is the way that I've learned to cope now as an adult. I can be aware that the quicker that I get to just acceptance, the faster I'm going to get to move through this grief. And so I think that was a really helpful thing for me. I think that what I see a lot in a lot of people is you don't get to the acceptance part and you get stuck in the rumination part. I feel this anxious feeling about whatever event, and I'm going to really unpack that anxiety and sit with that anxiety. And I am not anti-therapy. I'm not anti-acknowledging your anxieties or anything. I think it's important to be aware.
Yeah.
But do you get stuck there?
Yeah. It's that hyperfixation.
Yeah.
And
it's limiting.
Very limiting, because then you're not present and you're not able to experience the joy that's in front of you or put that energy towards things that are going to be healing. And so this is kind of the other side of the coin of what we originally talked about. We were saying fitness and nutrition can become obsessive and too much. But when we're talking about trauma and things such as that, where if you do have grief that you're working through, if you're hyperfixating on that and ruminating on it and focusing on that as your mental health, you're probably not leaving the energy to do the positive things that are going to actually get you out of that really dark place, such as focusing on moving your body, fueling your body with nourishing nutrients, getting good sleep, socializing with friends. Because if you're in that hyperfixated rumination state, you're hindering your ability to actually work on your mental health.
Yeah,
and so,
I agree with that.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of our episode we were talking about with Dr. Caroline Leaf of when anxiety becomes more of like you're self-imposing, essentially. So,
it's a lot. We got really heavy on our podcast.
We went there quick.
We're usually pretty lighthearted on that, but I think going back into how you manage that with fitness and health, I think the control piece is a big piece. And I think that when you are struggling to find discipline, or you have struggled to find discipline in your diet or in your exercise or in your emotional health, and then you do get that taste for it and you start to feel the positive effects, then it becomes this control issue.
Yes.
And I think that's where I see a lot of people that I am interacting with in our business. That's where I see when they start to take it a step too far, is that control issue.
Yeah.
And you feel like I'm out of control in these other areas of my life, so I'm going to take control in this area of my life. So my 20s.
That's something big to unpack.
Yeah. So like if I look back at my 20s when I was experiencing all of that stuff that I was dealing with my body image and trying to attack fitness in this career in this way. And this was before I had even, I wasn't a certified personal trainer. I did no, I didn't have a coach and I didn't have any nutrition. I was flying blind. I was just headed into that. But I'm looking at it now and I say, okay, well, I had that traumatic experience as a teenager. And then within a decade, I am now dealing with this massive control issue. But thinking that the two are not related, and not realizing and looking back and thinking, okay, well, I'm just going to soldier through this. I'm going to be aware, but the closer I get to acceptance, the more I can just move on. And I don't have to deal with the grief. And then bam, I'm in this control issue.
Yeah.
Right. So
feel it fully.
You feel it. Yeah. You feel it fully. And so I do think, I want to be really clear. I don't want to minimize the importance of doing the work to move through a grief situation and move through any type of challenge emotionally or relationally, because that work is important to do. It's not getting stuck there, I think.
Yeah. Healing is the inner work. Yeah. And you can't get stuck there, but you do have to face it and finding that balance. That's why it's helpful to have professionals to help you through that. But if healing is the inner work, then like wellness is that outer performance aspect. So you talk about control, and that reminds me of perfectionism and knowing.
Are you a perfectionist, Lauren?
Well, as I was researching for this podcast and thinking about doing my inner work. Yeah. I don't, like I said at the start, I don't know how to.
I would diagnose you as such as well.
Okay. It's fine if I say it. It's not fine if you say it.
I can say it because I love you.
That was like yesterday we were on a call with our boss and I was talking about level 10 Lauren. I'm like, level 10 Lauren, she's pretty intense. And then our boss is like, yes. I'm like, listen up. That was a trap and you failed because you weren't supposed to nod along. Just let me talk.
Yeah, that was so good. Yeah. Level 10 Lauren is intense, and you do have some self-diagnosed perfectionist tendencies.
Self-diagnosed or Andrea diagnosed?
I was concurring. I concur.
Okay. Yeah. No, for
but only
sure.
I can say that because I love you. Nobody else come for her. Yeah.
Don't come for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that is part of the secret sauce of anybody that is going to achieve a goal. It's
don't set goals, kids.
No. It's kind of hyperfixating on the end result that you're looking for and the steps in order to get you there. And so, okay, let's go back to high school. Yeah. I had really high achievement goals for myself. It's like you can only get A's. You have to have X body or be the top of anything. I like to be the best at anything. And I think that's a good thing. But then if you're doing that to the detriment of your nervous system regulation or your mental health, and like you said, you weren't aware at 16 years old the impact of your sister passing had on you until later on.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of the impact of my lifestyle choices or hyperfixation on things, honestly, until a couple years ago, of like, what am I idolizing and what am I putting most of my focus and energy into, and what is that taking me from, and what is the cost of that? And we're kind of bouncing all around because I know on this episode we wanted to talk about mental health and healing.
Yeah.
The hyperfixation on that. We want to talk about perfectionism, but we also want to talk about burnout.
Yeah.
So me talking about my perfectionism goes hand in hand with my burnout.
Yeah.
It's like Lauren in her early 20s was doing the most. It was, I will do whatever it takes to get to this point in my career. I will do whatever it takes to get to this point in my fitness. And now 30-year-old Lauren is like, I am tired.
Yeah.
I am tired. And luckily along the way, I've found habits, more so in my wellness routine than my work routine, to avoid burnout. And I have a very healthy mindset towards fitness and nutrition. But going back to what I said about me being 21 and not wanting to take a rest day, I wasn't afraid of anything bad happening. I've never been afraid of, if I take a day off, I'm going to lose my results. If I eat the cake, I'm going to lose my results. That's never been me. I've never had disordered eating, gratefully, but I have had the thought of just running my body. My body gets run into the ground, and workout is a stressor, and exercise is a stressor and can wear on you, and you don't realize that.
Yeah.
So,
well, you remember when I said earlier that I was rescued from that? I think in part when I was in that space where I was just killing myself for these results, I just got sick of myself. There's that Jordan Peterson quote. It says, there's no difference between thinking about yourself and being miserable. And that's where it came for me.
That reminds me of the quote of, if you want to be more confident, stop looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
And it's so true.
It's so true.
Yeah.
I just got so incredibly sick of myself, because when you are constantly chasing, for me, it was an aesthetic. You have to put in a lot of thought. I had to wake up every day and think about every morsel of food I was going to put in my body. I had to think about my workout splits. I had to think about like every single aspect of my day somehow revolved around me and this aesthetic. And I just got so incredibly sick of myself.
Yeah.
And I think that is in part, that was healing for me. And I don't want to, I don't want to in any way prescribe anything to anyone about their own healing. But if you are somebody that struggles with just being overwhelmed or being in these stressful, anxious moments, just spending a little time not thinking about yourself and sometimes putting that out toward others might help. I don't know.
It definitely would.
I think so.
Definitely would help. So on that perfectionist topic of, these routines, and we talked about this in our last episode, you have to set up habits and you have to build routines to find success. That consistency piece is crucial. But when are routines becoming rules? And when is discipline becoming control?
Yeah.
How do you toe that line? Or how do you advise our members or say your daughter to make sure that we're not going the wrong way?
Well, we talked about this yesterday, and I am not placing judgment on anybody in the way that they present themselves to the world. We had a bit of a heated conversation. Lauren and I don't always agree on everything.
But the thing about, I get labeled as the one that's intense, but Andrea is also very stubborn. Andrea is not going, if she believes something, she's not going to let it go. I
stand on my convictions.
She stands on business.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's
but it's a good. We don't. I wouldn't even call it a tiff. We just had difference of opinions, and we worked through them together.
And I feel like when we do this, we both get so tired by the end.
I know we're exhausted.
I'm like, I mean, my
Talk
tacos.
About being exhausted with
I start eating my tacos because I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to stop talking about this influencer, and then I start hiccuping.
She's not hiccuping. That was a burp. But anyway, let's get back to the podcast. Okay. So I think it depends on your goals and what you're trying to present to the world. And so for me, it's really important that, especially as I was entering into the fitness space, my daughter was entering into adolescence. And so it became really important to me that what I represented to her and what she saw through my lens as what I valued aligned with what I actually valued and what I would want for her. And so I really started evaluating my feed, like what images were coming across my feed and what was that going to communicate to my daughter that I valued. And so there was a lot of influencers that I stopped following. Like I unfollowed a lot of people, and not because I judged them for what they were putting out. A lot of that content is valuable to me as somebody in the fitness space. I really do appreciate the diet information that comes through, and I do appreciate the meal prepping, and I appreciate even the aesthetic goals, because I, as a professional, understand what it takes to put in. There was one influencer in particular, I'm not even going to mention her because I don't want to,
She who shall not be named.
Yes, and she's sensational. Like her physique is amazing, and she's in her 50s and she looks phenomenal. But I also understand that takes full time effort and attention. And like what's going back to before, I get sick of myself. I know it takes every single day focusing on what you're going to eat, what your splits look like, and how you produce and create that body. I didn't want my daughter to think that's what we do this for. Yeah. Because it wasn't. I don't do this. Like I could achieve that physique. If I wanted to put in the time and the effort to do that, I could do it. I could change my diet and I could do the work. I don't want to. I have no interest in that. That physique is not what I'm chasing anymore in this part of my life. So more power to you. That's fantastic. But I do think that it's important to recognize that you are responsible for the message you're putting out with your feed, with your words, with, leading by example. And as a mom to a kid that is, coming up, I don't know. It was I was really careful about it.
The More Life Project is sponsored by Orange Theory Fitness. Orange Theory is an all-in-one dynamic blend of strength and cardio training that supercharges your metabolism to burn more calories and build lean muscle. Certified coaches guide you through science-backed workouts designed for all fitness levels. To learn more and to get your first class for free, stop in or visit orangetheory.com.
The More Life Project is a production of Aspire Holdings, LLC. The views and opinions expressed on the More Life Project podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Aspire Holdings, LLC, its sponsors, affiliates, or employees. The information shared on this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered medical or professional advice. Please consult with your healthcare provider before making any changes to your fitness, wellness, or nutritional routines.
Which is smart, because that specific influencer, and a lot of these influencers are, in order to achieve that top 1% physique, you do have to be hyperfixated, focused on control, and it's not healthy. And maybe that's a hot take, but those people that are doing this to the top degree are not doing it in a healthy way.
Or to be healthy. That's not their goal.
Their goal is not to be healthy. Their goal is to have an aesthetic. It's like bodybuilders. They're not working to be the healthiest. The problem is that most of society sees that person with the big muscles and the lean body, and they're like, they have to be the pillar of health. That is not healthy.
Yeah.
Almost always, because I used to follow a lot of these girls that bodybuilded when I was younger, and almost always they come out a few years later and they were like, I was depressed. I was miserable. My hormones are whack. I was running to the ground. This was a control thing. I was so unhealthy. And that is the truth of it. And so, like you said, you could achieve that physique. Anybody can achieve a top 1% physique, but the restriction and the sacrifice that it requires is unhealthy. And if you're doing it for sport, all power to you. I'm not judging either. I just think that the messaging that we put out, it's so important to remind people to have a realistic standard for yourself. And so even for me personally, Transformation Challenge is about to start. I want to lose like 1% or 2% of body fat. But I know what that takes. I know what that takes. And it's going to be a lifestyle sacrifice of the little joys. Is it not eating the cookie dough every night? Is it not having the pizza once a week that I want to go out and have, and just sticking to my meal prep, skipping dessert? Is that a life that I want to live? Probably not. You know, if I'm going to South of Nick's to eat Mexican food, I'm going to have the full thing of chips and salsa.
She loves enchiladas.
Yeah. Well, I actually love burritos, but since I can't have gluten, I have to have enchiladas. But that's a different story. Sorry, you got me sad on that.
I know, it's okay. But it is.
Flashing back to my past life.
And it's not forever either. You know, you can, and now I'm counseling you like I would one of my members.
Oh, you're counseling me.
You don't
I
need
thought
it.
you were going on your own tangent.
You don't need it. But I was like, it's not going to be forever. If you wanted to lose that 1% of body fat, you don't have to give up the cookie dough forever. You have to go into a calorie, and Lauren doesn't need to know this because she knows this. A calorie deficit. A calorie deficit.
I'm actually going to go do in-body and Transformation Challenge consultations after this. So I'm just going to regurgitate this info.
So she could recite all of this that I'm about. This is more for you guys. If you're looking to lose 1% body fat, we are not saying that that's hyperfixation and you should not do that. You have to be able to make the choices. And I guess the word I'm looking for is ownership. If you want to lose 1% body fat, you need to take ownership of that goal. And you need to recognize what it's going to take to get you there. And then you need to do those things. And then you can move from that. And then you can come into a maintenance where you can add some of your favorite things back in. And maybe sacrifice other things. Or maybe those things that you were favoriting aren't even your favorites anymore after you've removed them for a while. But just taking ownership of that and taking stock without fixating on it. And I think what we were just saying before about when these influencers or these people come and present themselves with these physiques, and we know what it takes to get there, and these girls that come out after, I always say that about the fitness competitors. They know no one comes out of that unscathed. Everybody comes out of that a little messed up, because it's really hard not to look back at what you were capable of accomplishing, which is a feat. It's a feat to do that. It takes a lot of sacrifice, but it takes a lot of self-focus. And like you said, they always will say, and always is a big word, I don't want to overgeneralize, but the ones that I've spoken to say I was depressed, I was anxious. And so when I talk about anxiety and self-imposed anxiety and stop not ruminating on all of your anxiety, that's mostly what I'm referring to, because there are people, and I've talked about this before, I have children that struggle with anxiety. And I'm not saying to my children, stop ruminating on yourself and, stop feeling anxious. That's just self-imposed. That's not what we're talking about. Yeah. But there are times where I've counseled my kids like, hey, let's pause and think outside of ourselves and look at experiences that we are in and detach an emotion from it and recognize what we're actually experiencing instead of focusing on just the response to it. I don't know if that's helpful, but
it's very helpful.
Good. Okay.
It's very helpful. It reminds me of there's natural anxiety for a lot of people, or trauma-induced anxiety. But then there's also, that self-imposed. And it reminds me of the last episode I was talking about not running myself minute by minute by minute for my life, because that's really stressful and anxiety-inducing, and that is all on me for jam-packing my day. But
she was on time today, you guys.
I was on time.
She was early. You were
7 minutes early. And it would have been 9 minutes early, but I missed the turn.
Oh. I did that last time we came here.
Yeah.
But you said something yesterday to me, and I have it highlighted here in my notes.
You're so prepared.
Burnout isn't always from doing too much. It's from never fully shutting off.
Yes.
And that's what you're talking about. It's going from one thing to the next. And that's the same thing in our workouts, focusing on this and that and that and that.
Or thinking you're resting, but not knowing how to rest. That's something that I really struggle with. I will be sitting on my couch, reading a book, relaxing. And then I will be like, why are my shoulders like
this?
Yes.
Why is my jaw
or why am I squeezing the book? And I'm like, what am I even stressed about? And I'm not stressed about one thing in particular. I'm just constantly stressed. And it's not these major life events that are all consuming stressful. It's micro stress. It's running things to the minute. Yeah. It's carrying other people's emotions. It's a work situation. It's worrying about not going to bed before 9 p.m. I don't know, little things that maybe are self-imposed that build up this tension in our body, and we don't even take the moment to relax. Yeah.
Okay. I want to read you something. This is from Dr. Ellen Langer. Have you heard of this woman?
No.
She's
Langer.
She's awesome. I saw her interviewed. She's really funny. She's an older lady. She's been in I think she's a psychiatrist or a psychologist. But she was talking about the power of influence, and she's a smoker. Had confessed that she was a smoker on this podcast. Yes, but I mean she's
Dr.
older.
Ellen Langer.
Yeah,
Dr.
Ellen Langer. But she was talking about watching Mad Men, which is a show. I know you don't watch TV, but Mad Men is a show that was on years ago.
I do watch some TV these days.
Okay, well, it's a good one.
Sorry, I had to confess.
Catch up on Mad Men from
I'm not watching that.
a decade ago, but. She said like when they were, it's set in like the 60s. And so people come in smoking. And she said if they come in smoking or they light a cigarette, she wants a cigarette. If they come in and they put the cigarette out, she doesn't want the cigarette anymore. Like this power of suggestion and how influential it is.
Maybe I need to start watching people throwing their Starbucks away.
Well,
and then I won't want the Starbucks so much.
But she talks a lot about mindfulness, and mindfulness is not the same as rumination. But being aware. So she was talking about this thing. She says, we control, I'm going to quote her, we control the experience of whatever happens. Events don't cause boredom, stress, fear. It's our interpretation of the events that lead us to any of these emotional states. So this is her example. If I came to you and I said, do you want to meet my friend Joe? He's very impulsive. Versus... Like that, you don't really want to meet somebody who's very impulsive, especially if you're looking for somebody to date, right?
Yeah, no.
So, but if I said to you, do you want to meet my friend Joe? He's really spontaneous. You still probably wouldn't go for it because you don't really want spontaneity. But
sometimes I do.
Those two words
on my watch.
Yeah, in your control.
I can be spontaneous. But
Lauren wants spontaneous as long as she can control the outcomes.
That's a perfectionist in me.
But those two words mean the same thing. Essentially spontaneity and impulsiveness means the same thing.
Yeah.
And so being in a moment and if I introduce you to Joe and you are experiencing Joe for whatever he's bringing to the scenario, regardless of what you put into it in your mind beforehand, like trying to tell the future beforehand. I think it's so powerful, like being mindfulness rather than ruminating and stewing in your emotions and really spending time with them.
Yeah. Well, it's choosing your reality.
Yeah.
Like we're all experiencing life, but you see those people that you hear their life story and you're like, oh my gosh, like how is that person still standing?
Yeah.
How are they able to accomplish anything or have a smile on their face? But it's a choice.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the people that have the heaviest backgrounds are some of the most joyful people because they understand that contrast and that choice. And this relates back to fitness. If you have that person that's constantly hyperfixating on their body, what it isn't, what they're not doing, what hasn't worked, they're probably stuck in that cycle, that toxic cycle of maybe the yo-yo, because that typically partners with an all or nothing mindset of that hyperfixation. Whereas the other person that's like, I'm on my way. I'm proud of my progress. I'm taking it one day at a time. That minor shift from what I'm not doing to what's possible impacts really the results that people get. There is a psychology aspect to this. And I wish I could research this right now, but
we're going to end this podcast episode and I'm going to go back and get Dr. Ellen Langer's like title correct. And you're going to go back and be like, we should have researched that more.
Yeah.
We're going to hyperfixate on it.
There is an impact on people, whether or not they're able to lose weight, even in a calorie deficit, based on their mindset and what they're telling themselves every single day. And that's something where, I don't know, I've experienced this myself with the perfectionism and the stress. I never focused on the stress, probably to a bad degree, but I wasn't sitting every day like, I feel stressed. I'm like, I'm not stressed. I'm not anxious. I'm happy. I'm doing what I want to do and I'm making progress towards the goals that I set. And I have joy because of that. And I'm proud of myself for that. And that's always been fulfilling in a way where I'm not sitting around thinking, oh my gosh, I have to go work out. Yeah. I have to go to this meeting. It's like, no, I get to work out because that brings me to the health goal that I have. I'm going to this meeting because it brings me to the career goal that I have. And that's exciting to me. So that's like the other flip of that. Yeah. I feel like, I don't know if that's the point you were making with the spontaneity versus the impulsiveness.
I think it's
how you brand things in your mind.
It's how you brand things in your mind. I think it's being present. I don't think most of us, I think Dr. Ellen Langer would say that most of us are not actually present. When you are reading your book and you're in that moment of just peace and solitude, you're not experiencing that. You're not present. You're not mindful of that. You have to be intentional about it because we're mostly intentionally mindless. Like we're not there. You're somewhere else. I just saw this the other day. It was probably an Instagram reel, but they were talking about how Netflix and all these streaming services, they're making their own movies now and everything. And the way that they are making movies now is like they're repeating the plot or they're repeating the same thing over and over and over again because they understand that most people watching are not fully present because we don't have the attention span to do that anymore. We're on our phones or we're distracted by something else happening. Our watch is going off, whatever it is.
That's why, okay, let's unpack my issues. Why don't I like to watch movies?
Takes too long?
I don't watch movies because I'm just going to scroll on my phone instead.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to feel like I need to go do something.
Yeah.
That is my inability to rest. Watching a movie, I also just don't care about these movies. But watching a movie is too long for me to have to be present, sitting, resting.
That's why I don't like to get my nails done or my hair done because it takes too long. Just do it myself. Get it done quick.
Yeah, that's a real thing. On the perfectionist topic, sorry, we're bouncing around, but I
feel like this could have been a two-parter.
We've got a lot to unpack here. I found this article. She's a functional medicine practitioner and a clinical nutritionist.
What's her name?
Her name is, it's her and her husband have this thing. It's Philippa Belletti. I probably butchered that.
It's probably Philippa.
Philippa is the woman.
I know. I said it's probably Philippa.
Oh, Philippa. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Philippa, if I messed it up. But she was talking about, this article is a little bit about orthorexia.
Explain what that is.
So it's when healthy becomes unhealthy. It's the obsession over eating clean, the obsession over working out. Like it's
me in my 20s.
Yes.
When I thought I was being healthy and I took it to an extreme.
Yes. So
it becomes toxic.
Especially people that are eating clean or eating a certain way, where that then, say you go to a restaurant and you feel a little bit out of control because you don't know what's in everything that's on the menu, and that's stress inducing to you. And then you'll see this. Some people that just don't even eat.
Yeah. Or they bring their own food to the parties.
To a restaurant or a party.
Yeah.
That's orthorexia. And so she's talking about that and how that stems from perfectionism. And she talks about how women are more predisposed to this than men. And it talks about the things that nobody talks about as like the warning signs. So her points are, your stress hormones become chronically elevated. I don't think I struggle with the orthorexia, but the stress hormones becoming chronically elevated, and then that becomes your baseline. Again. Yeah, that becomes your baseline, and then you don't even know when you are actually stressed, or you don't know how to sit and watch a movie and relax.
Yeah.
The impact that has on your digestive system and how that shuts down. Okay, I'll self-diagnose again. I got more issues than I thought. But
people
that's
have
what
IBS.
Causes
that's typically related
I don't have
to that.
But gut health issues, where when I was seeing a functional medicine practitioner talking to me about my food intolerances, she talked about my gut health and how I don't have good nutrient absorption. So I might be eating healthy, but I'm not absorbing the nutrients as a normal person would, because my gut
You're a
health...
normal person, but yes, I know what your point is.
Am I normal?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. That's on camera. Your immune system becomes compromised. You see these people that are always sick. That could be a sign of that. And then sleep becomes disrupted. People that can't sleep. There is something at the root of that.
Yeah.
And not saying that all of these symptoms say you have orthorexia issues or perfectionism issues with things, but these are symptoms that come from that. So you think you're being healthy by pursuing this extreme behavior.
Yep.
And maybe you don't even recognize it. Like we didn't recognize it at the time. But if you are struggling with some of these things, body keeps score, and it will come out later on.
The body keeps score. Yeah, I talked about this book before by Brad Davidson about it's a metabolic reset. And he talks about that a lot in his book. And it is about the stress and the way that our bodies respond to the stressors. That's workout, diet, moods, all of that stuff.
Yeah. It's big.
Yeah.
I like what she said, Miss Philippa.
I'm going with Philippa. You call her Philippa.
Practice the art of good enough.
What did I say about that guy that I saw that Instagram reel that was so good? And I wish I remembered his name, because I think he went viral, and I would love to plug him. About 75, not instead of doing 75 hard, you do infinity medium. That's what that is.
Break that down.
Okay, so 75 hard, and in his original post, and I'm sure somebody will tag us with his name, because this was a viral moment for him. But in his original post, he was talking about how he did 75 hard last year. And he said it wasn't even that hard. It was just really inconvenient.
We need to tell people what 75 hard is.
75 hard is, I don't know, it's not really a program, but I mean, I guess you'd call it a program, but it's a challenge. It's a challenge. It's a fitness challenge. And it's
supposed to be about mental toughness. The creator of it, Andy Frisella, the creator of First Form. I believe I'm quoting that right. I hope so.
Yeah.
But he said it's a mental toughness challenge. People keep marketing it as a fitness challenge because people see it as the means to an end to get the body that they're wanting.
And it's a good kickstart. Like people will do it. Like I'm going to start the year. A lot of people do it at the beginning of the year.
My brother did it, and he was more locked in than he's ever been, and had all these huge revelations in his life. And then because it was 75 hard and not infinity medium, bro, where are you at? It fell off. Where are you at?
Yeah. And so people tend to fall off. And so this guy's point was, especially for somebody, if you are already somewhat disciplined, like if you and I were to do 75 hard, I think probably we would just like this guy, think it's just inconvenient. We've already got our systems kind of locked in. I don't necessarily need to do 75 hard to feel like I'm getting that kickstart into, my mental toughness. But he said, instead of doing that though, like Casey, your brother, instead of doing that, falling off, do in infinity medium. Do medium forever instead of just 75 days of really hard and inconvenient.
Yeah. Because the 75 hard challenge is you have to do 2 45-minute workouts a day.
One has to be outside.
You have to stick to some sort of diet.
Yeah. You have to drink a gallon of water a day. I have always been super opposed to the overhydration. I have an issue with that. But
you have to read
don't drink a gallon of water a
10
day.
pages. Some people might need a gallon of water depending on what they're doing.
Very few. Are you a camel? In the desert. If you're not a camel in the desert, you do not need a gallon of water.
I need a gallon of coffee.
I need a gallon of coffee.
But because I have a gallon of coffee, I need a gallon of water.
You don't need a gallon. Your
That's
poor kidneys. Go ahead. Continue. Derailed us. I derailed us.
I feel assaulted by you in this episode with these microaggressions that you've got. My kidneys are under attack.
Because of all the
Tell
water.
Tell me how you feel.
Okay. About the water. It's too much water.
Body trust over body control.
Body trust. Okay.
Because we were talking about
yeah,
practicing the art of good enough.
Yeah.
Kind of partners with body trust over body control. How much can I control about my body, about my health outcomes, as opposed to I'm trusting that my body is going to respond to the work that I'm putting in, the food that I'm giving it, if I'm doing it in a healthy manner.
Yeah. I think it's a beautiful sentiment.
But also practicing the art of good enough is good enough. Because I was raised, so good enough isn't good enough.
Right.
You have to be great.
Yeah.
I know someone who has been quoted saying that anything short of perfection is failure.
We won't name names, but we have somebody close in our lives that has said that.
That is a very dangerous mindset to have.
Yeah. I will say I am grateful that I was not raised with that mentality. My parents were really supportive and thought that that everything I did was fantastic.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish they had pushed me a little harder, but I wasn't raised with that.
Well, everything we're talking about, and I think this is the challenging thing for us that we're navigating in this, but also people that are listening is like, okay, well, where do I go from here? Because everything is a fine line. So it's like focus on your nutrition and build habits.
But not too much. Yeah.
Set up a workout program
and
be dedicated and stop lying to yourself if you don't do it, but not too much.
Yeah. And be aware of your mental health and focus on, being sound mind.
But don't ruminate.
Being well, but don't ruminate. Yeah.
Push your kids, but not too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's a lot.
It is a lot, but it's about doing that inner work, seeing what your underlying beliefs are. Where is this desire for change coming from? And is it a desire for change or is it a desire for control? And maybe see how this can relate to other parts of your life. For example, if there's a moment where maybe I'm desiring to control my food or I'm desiring to control my workouts, that should relate me back to say, okay, I went through a breakup. And immediately after that last conversation, I'm so upset. I'm like, I'm deep cleaning my apartment. There's not going to be a speck of dust left in this thing. Everything's organized. Everything's in its place. That's a desire for control over something because I can't control what just happened.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing. Are you mirroring emotions in your fitness routine? Maybe at a lesser degree. You're not identifying now, but how can you work to identify that through finding these underlying beliefs, through comparing to other situations in your life that these might be mirroring?
Yeah. I think being going back to Dr. Ellen Langer's comments, and we should get her on the podcast. She's a rock star, but being mindful, being present, don't try to predict the future. So if we're talking about managing anxiety without ruminating on your anxiety, be present in the moment. Where am I at? What's around me? What do I have control over? What am I actually afraid of in this moment? What is bringing me joy in this moment? Can I fixate on that instead? Being really present and being really mindful. without being obsessive or controlling or ruminating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
but it all ties together. It's the healing culture that ties into the perfectionist tendencies, which then ties into the chronic burnout.
Yeah.
And so now it's how do we walk ourselves back from that? So I don't know.
We went all over the place in
Yeah.
this episode.
I have a closing question.
Okay.
What is one thing you're releasing right now?
In this very moment?
Or based on this conversation?
Actually, based on our conversation yesterday, as we were working through our differences of opinion about the influencers and our approaches to that are so different. What I was feeling in that moment and pausing to really think, what is Lauren hearing from this? And what is really to stop thinking about what I was feeling in that moment and really identify why you might be responding in the way that you're responding.
You're like, I triggered you.
I did. And I realized that I said, I think that you felt like my comment was directed at you, and I understand why. And that completely just like released me of any type of frustration, because I could feel in the moment, I'm like, I'm not communicating what I'm intending to communicate, because if I were, she wouldn't be responding like this.
That was what my frustration was. I didn't feel like I was communicating what I wanted to communicate. And
but I realized just stepping back and being present and being mindful of the moment was really helpful for me.
Yeah. Okay. So that's something I'm going to work on releasing. And this goes back to that really heavy conversation we had like a month or two ago.
Yeah.
That sent me off the deep end for 6 weeks. No. It's okay, where I'm a very passionate person.
Yeah.
And like we said, you stand on business, I stand on business. And I feel the need to be able to express my opinions or make people understand. I think that's it. You were trying to be understood in that conversation. At the same time, I was trying to be understood. And then for me, when I feel like, okay, I'm either not articulating this the right way or I'm being misunderstood, I almost fight to get my point across even more, which then prohibits me from really listening. And then I get really frustrated. And if we're talking about chronic stress and where I'm inducing stress on myself, it's the perception of control over desiring to be understood in situations that truly don't matter.
Right.
At the end of the day, that conversation really didn't matter.
No.
And it's nice. And I only do that with people that I'm super close to and I feel safe with.
Yeah.
But it's still like, it tires us out, and we didn't need to. That was like at 5 p.m. conversation after we've been talking all day at work and pouring into people. Like it wasn't necessarily a good use of my energy and time. And so that's what I'm going to try to release, is that desire to control people's perceptions of me, or desire to control, I guess, the dialogue.
Yeah.
You know?
I think we both feel like yesterday's conversation for you and me was important in that moment, for that moment, because we were going to address it on the podcast and we didn't want to argue in front of all of you guys.
Then we were like, we're not even talking about this on the podcast.
Well, we did. We brought up that influencer. It got brought up.
But I was like, okay, let's get back to our agenda.
Yeah. But also it was keeping you from tacos, which is really important.
I ate those tacos.
You were hangry.
I had some digestive issues, which so we talked a little bit about gut health in past episodes. I want to get a gut health expert back on here.
Yeah.
Because me eating in that situation, when I am elevated, I am in a stressful state.
Yeah.
Having a heated-ish conversation.
Yeah.
It wasn't a 75 hard heat, but it was like an infinity medium heat. That is actually doing my body a disservice to eat and not be able to digest, because I am in fight or flight. I'm not in rest or digest.
From those tacos.
I didn't absorb the nutrients.
Yeah.
It's putting more stress on my body. That probably causes inflammation, and then that's where it spirals. And that's the thing. It's like, well, I have to let that go and not try to hyperfixate on it and be guilty about it. But yeah, we could talk for days about all these topics, but I think we need to wrap it up.
I know.
You're not failing in your healing journey. You're not failing in your wellness journey. Be better at knowing that good enough is good enough.
Yeah.
You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be the pinnacle. You don't need to shoot for the 1%. It's good to have aspirations and goals, and high standards for yourself, but doing it in a healthy way and having
Right.
self check-ins here and there to make sure that you are not going into obsessive patterns that are overtaking your life.
Absolutely. Agreed. That's so fun.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in.